Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone's doing good mentally, emotionally, spiritually and physically. I hope that this week has been blessed to the absolute max. I hope it's been productive. I hope whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's school, work or nothing, I hope it's been going good as well. I hope that just life is treating you well. So today's video, I've been procrastinating. Haven't been, not that I wasn't excited, it's just that I've been really nervous about shooting this particular video. Why? Because I believe it's making myself very vulnerable to everybody and some people I don't even know. But I do, however, believe that what I have been through and what I am going through is supposed to help somebody else. So there's no way that I've been through hell and back and God doesn't have a purpose for it, whether it's for myself and for my own growth, or if it's for me to help whether it's for me to help somebody else who has been going through what I'm going through or what I've been through, or whoever might need my assistance in that area. But before we get into that, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and become part of the family that is slowly but surely growing, and I'm very thankful for that. For this particular video, it's just more to raise awareness, so please do just share, and let's start having these conversations. Okay, so the topic I'm talking about is a bit of a taboo in a lot of African societies, but in Zimbabwe, because that's where I'm from, and I don't want to speak on behalf of other cultures that I'm not part of, but I'm Shona and I come from Zimbabwe, and mental health is not something people typically talk about. It's not something that is looked at as something that's serious. It's something that's looked at as a white people's disease, believe it or not, which is very, very unfortunate. So the point of this video, and for those to come that are going to be linked to this mental health endeavor, are hopefully going to start conversations, are going to have people talking about these issues, because whether we choose to believe it or not, these are things that kids are going through, these are things that adults are going through, these are things that men are going through, but we so often think of men as tough and breadwinners, and you know what I mean, so no one ever pays attention to that. But today in particular, I'm not really going to look at the male aspect of it. Why? Because I want to have a male in the video that can give a male's perspective and how society looks at them, and why it would be difficult for any male who might be suffering from mental illness, particularly in the Black community, to be able to come out and talk about it and seek help. So I did quite a bit of research for this video. Why? Because I just don't want it to be feelings and emotions, and I mean it is, but like we also need to look at statistics and look at what's happening. So what really bothered me actually about this was when I looked at Google, because I was looking for statistics for depression, for example, among Zimbabwean youth. I could barely find anything. I'm gonna go to the extent of saying there was nothing. Unless somebody has done this research and found something, I personally struggled. I went through everything. So a lot of my statistics are based on South Africa, because I'm in a university context in South Africa. Not to say that I'm disregarding those that are in uni in different places, but it's just what I was able to find and what was close to home. Considering in this, like in the particular university that I'm in, Rhodes University, there are a lot of Zimbabwean students, and there have been a lot of cases of suicide because of depression. Not that it's specifically to the Zimbabwean students, but just dear Black people, mental illness is not the work of the devil, nor is it a white people's disease. Now, I've seen this in my own society, and I've heard about it and read about it in other similar cultures like my own, and many Black societies and communities, where a lot of people look at mental illness as the work of the devil, which I'm trying to tread very lightly, because I'm not trying to say that people's belief that that disease is somehow linked to the devil. I'm not saying that it's not, and I'm also not saying that it is. But I would like us to go beyond that. Okay, it's not, I believe prayer changes a lot of things. I believe prayer is the biggest tool that any Christian can have. However, I also believe that it is absolutely okay to seek help when you need help. So for example, when you're physically ill, when you have a cold, when you have a broken leg, when you have a broken arm, when you have a headache, you seek medical assistance, right? You seek medical help because there is a doctor specifically for that. If that's the case, why then can't we say there's a doctor for mental and emotional well-being? With that being said, I believe that we as Black people need to do a better job at dealing with mental health, particularly depression, where it's not a case of, let's look at Christians for example, where I have had a conversation with somebody that said it's the work of the devil. And don't get me wrong, I'm not disregarding your beliefs. It's all well and good. But with that being said, don't be quick to dismiss somebody else because they're coming to you, because they're being vulnerable with you, because they're talking to you about something that is a very difficult and sensitive topic to discuss, and you're almost dismissing them by saying that if you pray about it, it'll go away, which I strongly disagree with. Point number 2. I acknowledge and I'm aware that our parents grew up in a very, very, very different generation where they didn't talk about mental health, where it wasn't a discussion that was had at a dinner table, or where parents and children didn't have that relationship where a child can go to their mom or their dad and say, I'm going through A, B, C, because they believe that if you're financially looked after, if you're going to school, if you have clothes in your bag, if you have food in your stomach and a roof over your head, then there should be absolutely nothing wrong with you. And to a certain extent, I can understand why they struggle to conceive and to deal with the idea of depression or other mental illnesses. I can understand that. And the reason I keep going back to depression is because a lot of my message is based around that. So yeah, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disregarding the fact that your parents didn't show you how it should be done. With that being said, I am not going to accept that they continue pleading ignorance. Why I say that, and I'm going to use ignorance because it's a choice. It's a choice to turn a blind eye to what's happening. It's a choice not to pay attention to what's happening around you in order for you to think that, okay, maybe there is something going on. And that's why I'm referring to it as ignorance. It is deliberate ignorance, I believe. I'm not going to allow that to continue being an excuse. Why? Because on a daily basis, you hear a case of a child that committed suicide or a child that is self-harming. Why? Because they're going through stuff. They're going through what is called depression. And I know it's a foreign concept to a lot of parents, and to a lot of parents it's, oh no, just be happy, think positive thoughts and everything's going to be fine. And obviously that's not how it works. There's a lot of biological aspects that I think I'll get into in another video where we talk about the biological breakdown of depression. But a lot of the times it's biological, where there's a chemical imbalance and that causes emotional reactions to things, or just like the way your behavior is, where you can't regulate your moods. And that is nobody's fault. That is not a choice. That is not a decision one makes. It is biological. And that's not the only kind of depression. They do come, I think they're called episodic depression, as well as, I don't know if it's called seasonal, but again, this will all come into another video where we're discussing it in depth, where it's certain situations and circumstances around you that cause you to have a period of depression. It may not be as continuous as people that do suffer from the chemical imbalance, but it is nonetheless depression, and it should be dealt with in the same manner that, you know, you deal with the one with the chemical imbalance. And you see these things every single day, you hear about them. I don't believe that in this day and age you can still say I don't know anything. There's so many ways for you to be able to look up. Like when you hear that something is happening in universities and you have children in university, it's your job as a parent to look up what it is. For example, if you hear a child died because they committed suicide because of depression, it's your job to look up what could be causing this depression, what are the symptoms I may be missing in my own child, and it is your job to check up on your child. And I mean like not, oh, how's school, how was your day? I mean really, really, really ask how your child is doing. And more often than not, parents just ask about school. If school's going well, then it's fine. If your grades are down, then that's a discussion to have. And it's never what's causing your grades to be down. It's always, oh, you're partying too much or you're not taking school seriously. But sometimes there's a lot of factors that lead to that. So I believe it's a parent's job to research. And if you don't raise your child in an environment where they can come to you and talk to you about these things, then you need to do a better job. And it sounds harsh and it sounds insensitive, but you need to do a better job. Because at the end of the day, if your child suffers and they have nobody to talk to, it is you to blame, because you didn't give your child that environment to be able to come to you and say, this is what I'm going through. And because of all this, this is why I am so adamant in my belief that our generation is gonna make incredible parents. And I'm so positive about this. Why? Because we endured things on our own. We dealt with things because we're unable to go to our parents to talk about certain issues, because again, the generational gap and the generational differences. But because we've seen the dark side of it, because we've seen the cons and the negatives that come from the lack of that parent-child relationship, I strongly believe we are going to do better with our children. We're going to be putting in the work in order to know how our children are doing. Yes, of course, there are going to be different challenges we face that obviously we wouldn't have dealt with in our generation, but I think in terms of mental health, we have absolutely no reason to plead ignorance, because we've seen it. We've seen the effects. We've seen people dying. It would be very stupid of us to let the same disease that's killing our generation kill our children's generation because of ignorance and because we are not taking the correct steps in making sure that kids are doing well mentally and emotionally. Okay, and that's, I think, is all I'm going to address for this particular video. I'm gonna make this a series where we talk mental health and discuss different types of issues that the youth are facing in terms of mental health. But yeah, that's, I think what I would like people to take away from this video is that sometimes you're not okay. And I'm not saying everybody, I'm saying to those people in particular that are going through what I've spoken about or what I will speak about. It is okay to seek help. It is okay to not understand what's going on with yourself and not understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling. But don't stay like that. Go and seek help. Talk to somebody. Don't foster and nurse those thoughts, those negative thoughts, whether it's about yourself physically or emotionally, whether you're nursing, I'm lonely, or I don't know what it is that you're dealing with. But don't sit and nurse them by yourself and try to fix yourself in a sense. Seek help. It is okay to need help sometimes. Like, we're not islands. I am not an island. You're not an island. You need people. And it's okay to seek help. And I think it's high time people in the Black community start normalizing seeking help, seeking psychiatric help, seeking psychological help. It is high time we start making that the norm and encouraging it, instead of putting such a stigma on it and stigmatizing people that do get that help that I'm speaking of, and stop looking at them as they're crazy or that it's not something that's done. It's high time that ends and we start looking after our kids and ourselves and our parents emotionally. It is high time we start growing and grooming mentally stable and a mentally healthy generation, and for those to come as well. So I think it's high time we do start having these conversations, and I hope if this video doesn't apply to you, I do hope you somehow start opening up your eyes, and that when you say hi to someone and ask how are you, you stop to listen for a response. You're not just saying it as a formality, but you stop to listen to how that person is doing. And I hope that it opens your eyes and gives you a discerning eye to those that may need your help. And I hope you just have that heart that kind of just says check up on people. So I mean, like, check up on your friends, check up on your family, check up on your parents. And I think that's another discussion I will have. Obviously I'd have to do this with the parents. I'm hoping to rope my dad into the series where we do talk about how parents, for example, would face mental health issues, but they can't obviously talk to kids, and they can't seem weak in front of their kids, so they just continue pushing, and eventually they're struggling, and they just and they can't hold on anymore. So there are so many discussions to be had, and I'm so hopeful and praying that this does start conversations in these black societies and these black communities where we do need to talk about the importance of seeking help mentally. But anyways, I hope everyone has a fantastic week ahead, or a weekend. I don't know when this is going up. I hope it's blessed, and I hope it's productive, and I hope that we still continuing to set goals and speak things into existence, and that we're working with manifesting. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you back next time.